Ain't nobody's running. Ain't nobody's hiding. Nobody's ducking. I mean, Crawford's going to be right there, ready to trade blows with Canelo Alvarez. Why did you use that word war? Why are you feeling that way?
If you go down the list and ask me about tactical advantages, most of them are Crawford.
Crawford could see everything coming. He could see everything coming that Canelo threw at him. He was reading it so well. His guard was so tight as well when he was up at the ropes, when he was exiting, looking to move around.
They looked about the same size, but that was a brilliant performance. And what can you say? I mean, you got to give him his credit. He created a lot of history. He dreamt this fight. He willed it to happen. A lot of people, not me, but a lot of people laughed at him and said, forget about it, no chance against a bigger guy like that.
The defeat of Terence Crawford by Canelo Alvarez elicited a passionate response from Stephen A. Smith. He clarified that Crawford desired this battle to cement his legacy for a very long time. He asserted that Crawford eclipsed Canelo as the champion after proving himself on the grandest stage. Smith underlined that this was a pivotal occasion rather than merely another victory.
Division world champion out of Omaha, Nebraska. He's undefeated, 41-0 with 31 KOs. And he begged for this fight. He wanted Canelo bad because to him, it's all about legacy. I'm not speculating. I'm telling you what I know. And how would I know? It's because I interviewed him. Yesterday, we sat down. Here is my conversation with the one and only Terence Crawford challenging Saul Canelo Alvarez, moving up 2 weight divisions to do it.
Max Kellerman concurred that Crawford's performance was landmark and pivotal to his career. Max Kellerman provided a perceptive analysis of Canelo Alvarez's defeat by Terence Crawford. Moving up many weight classes and taking on a formidable opponent who might draw you into a real dog fight for the first time in your career is what he likened the task to. True confident fighters seek out challenging opponents without concern for size, speed, or power, according to Kellerman. He emphasized Crawford's gutsy attitude and reminded everyone that no fighter had publicly called out Bud for years. He believes that by accepting the challenge, Crawford shown why he is regarded as one of the best in the sport.
Giving up having to jump up 2 more weight classes and fight a guy who might put him in a dogfight, a real one, for the first time in his career.
When we get put in that position, we go find opposition to make that happen. You understand me? So when we go looking for the opposition, we're not concerned about how big they are, how fast they are, how strong they are. We feel like we got enough that we can bring to the table with anybody. That night I fought John Ruiz, I didn't care who was over there. Whoever they brought out that locker room was going to get it. You understand me? That's just what it was. And I think Bud kind of has that feeling. Now, Bud, you got to remember, has been around for a long time. Nobody called him out. You understand me? All the time Floyd came at the boxing floor, never said I want Bud Crawford.
No one ever said his name.
Hey, all I know is one thing. Israel Mazrimov, he didn't get it. He barely lost.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, but nobody called his name.
Shakur Stevenson has consistently shown his respect for Terence Crawford. However, Crawford's remarks gained even more significance following his decisive victory over Canelo Alvarez. Shakur clarified that Crawford not only fulfilled all of his pre-fight promises, but he also demonstrated why he is so highly regarded. Stevenson said that he had studied Crawford's discipline, style, and philosophy since the beginning of his own career. Shakur was reassured by seeing his idol achieve such a monumental feat, that brilliance is a result of years of practice and dedication. In addition to being a champion in the ring, Crawford serves as a role model for him and sets the bar high enough for aspiring fighters to follow.
On Cook Canelo. Said he was going to outbox him. He did exactly what I called years ago. And tonight he proved that he's the greatest boxer that ever lived.
Well, in the interview that didn't work, you said, you felt like going on a run watching that tonight. How much inspiration can you take from someone like Terence?
I take everything from him. I've been around him since I was a kid. And just watching that greatness.
Stephen A. Smith considered Terence Crawford's level of resolve going into the Canelo bout. He clarified that although some boxers could have asked a celebrity like Canelo to drop to a lighter weight class, Crawford insisted on entering Canelo's sphere of influence at 168 pounds. Convenience was never the problem with Crawford. It has to do with legacy. Stephen reminded the audience that Canelo Alvarez, who has won numerous titles in various divisions, is still among the best boxers in the sport. Crawford's desire to claim greatness on the most challenging stage possible was demonstrated by his unwavering pursuit of what Canelo had at this weight class.
31-0, Molly, with 31 knockouts. He's taken on all comers. I asked him, you're moving up in weight. Why would you not try to get Canelo to come down from 168 to 160 to meet you halfway, since Crawford's last fight was at 154? Crawford said, I want what he has. I want to go take it. I don't want to make, I don't want him making concessions and alterations. I'm coming to take what he has. And you look at him, and no one believes that he can't pull it off. He can box, he can punch, he's smart, he's elite, and he wants Canelo. He begged Canelo for this fight.
Aide Oladipo emphasized the significant shift in public opinion toward Terence Crawford. Critics disregarded Crawford prior to the bout, arguing that he was too young, too undersized, and unprepared to face a heavyweight champion like Canelo Alvarez. Many of those same voices, however, were ready to congratulate him after the fight for overcoming their earlier skepticism. Aide underlined that Crawford merited all the accolades because he won in the most challenging manner imaginable. It wasn't easy to rise from lesser categories and then take on a powerful person like Canelo. The risk was huge. Crawford demonstrated that technique and pure willpower, rather than stature or age, define him by decisively defeating Canelo.
Crawford did it again a few hours ago against Canelo. And what makes it even special or more special for Crawford is that he did it jumping up, as we know, a couple of weight classes. He did it against one of an all-time or another fellow all-time great. And he did it against someone who was undisputed and still a pound-for-pound top 10 guy. That's what Crawford did, people. So, all those things people were saying in the lead up to this fight, Canelo's going to be too strong, Canelo's too experienced, Crawford's going to be 38, all that. You have to remember all of that when you give Crawford his flowers. Don't like, Canelo looks old. No. I don't want to hear any of that. I've started to see a few people on Twitter start to kind of sort of find excuses already. No. Remember everything you said, because Crawford deserves all of that. All of that. Crawford was incredible. Honestly, in the pocket, he was at times showing Canelo, no, I'm stronger than you. I'm going to bully you. Oh, you think you're going to get me in the clinch because you're Mr. 168? No, look at the size of me. I'm jacked as well. I'm swole. And he was moving Canelo around. So by doing that, he got his respect. He didn't switch to orthodox once, stayed in the southpaw stance because he realized early, Canelo don't like this. Canelo does not like this southpaw stance. Canelo's tripping over himself. I'm going to stay here. I'm not going to switch it. No, I like this work. I'm going to stay here. On the ropes, it's like, okay, come in. Because when you come in, I've got that as well. And I can hurt you as well. Spinning off the ropes. His jab was fantastic. They put up the jab numbers. He was out jabbing Canelo it was almost like 10-1. Maybe even 20-1. It was fantastic. And when he needed to land those power shots, he was landing those power shots. It was an incredible performance.
By dispelling the myth that Canelo's defeat might be written off as the decline of a waning champion, the Wade concept analyst provided a crucial viewpoint. He emphasized that age cannot be used as a justification for Alvarez's loss because Crawford is actually older than Canelo. Furthermore, Canelo had definite advantages in the division in terms of weight, power, and comfort when he entered the ring. Crawford still defeated him in spite of everything. WD stated that Crawford's elevation to a new level was the reason for this victory rather than Canelo's decline in skill. By tearing down the justifications, he reaffirmed that Crawford's victory was genuine, historic, and authentic.
More tight, more fundamentally sound. While Canelo, even when he was able to get to range, which wasn't a lot, it wasn't often, he was having a hard time landing clean because everything was super wide and out here and to the body out there. And Crawford would either circle out to that same side, to Canelo's lead hand side. He would circle away because Canelo would step straight to Crawford and chase him and not necessarily cut him off. And even when he threw that hook, I was looking for the hook from Canelo right hand as he stepped through, right? Corral with the lead hand, bang the right hand because you're fighting a southpaw. So yeah, your jab may not be as effective in landing and managing distance and all those things, even though for Terence it kind of was. For Canelo, I was expecting a lot more of that right hand down the middle and over the top, and him jabbing his way, feint jab right hand, and then that lead hook that I thought he would be able to corral Crawford, because Crawford did want to move away from Canelo. He did. He wanted to move away from that power hand. Smart to do. Canelo never took that extra step to step outside of Crawford's lead foot. Again, that orthodox southpaw matchup, it's always going to be a battle of that lead foot. He never took that next step to get outside of that lead foot and then step through Crawford, step to his left where Crawford was going and land his right hand. He just felt like he was falling off to his right with his right hand, and once he fell off to his right after he threw the right hand, there was no follow-ups because he was off balance, and Crawford was out the gate and circling back to reset the action. This was a masterful display from Terence Crawford. And again, I looked at this fight, and I don't want to do the thing where I said, oh, Canelo's washed, he's over the top, he's old. Terence Crawford's older than Canelo. Is he as weathered as far as fights are concerned? No. But you can only do one thing when talking about this fight, and that is give credit to Terence Crawford. If you want to say Canelo looked old, that's fine. That's on you. I'm not going to.
Former world champion Carl Froch examined Crawford's change in strategy during the middle rounds. Froch claims that after the 6th and 7th rounds, Crawford understood he had to step up and exert more control over the bout. His jab turned into the tool that created openings, disrupting Canelo's rhythm and putting him on the defensive. Crawford's intelligence in recognizing when to change his strategy was commended by Froch. Crawford took advantage of the situation to assert himself more forcefully rather than letting the battle drag on.
Combination punches on the back foot, sort of dictating the pace. And then after about round 6 or 7, Canelo Alvarez knew, 1 second, I need a little freshener. Canelo knew he had to step on the gas. He knew he needed to put the fight on its front foot and take it to Terence Crawford and start to try and catch him and bang him on. And when he headbutted Crawford, I thought that could be the start of it. A little bit of a nut, get that down. Yeah, I don't know if there was a cut, but the referee stopped and had a look. And I thought, now Canelo's going to step on the gas. And he did that. He stepped on the gas, he started getting in close, and he started landing a few more shots than he was in the previous rounds, but it wasn't enough. Terence Crawford was able to catch and counter. He was landing a sneaky uppercut from the southpaw stance. He was dominating behind his jab, and then when Canelo stuck it on him, he was dominating up close in the pocket. He was beating him at his own game. Canelo Alvarez must have been fuming in there. He must have thought to himself, what can I do? He couldn't do anything. He needed to pick up the pace, put the pressure on, and sustain the attacks. And I don't want to take anything away from Terence Crawford, but Canelo Alvarez couldn't do that. He couldn't do it for long enough. Crawford looked like he could have done 20 rounds in there tonight at that pace, the way he was dictating and controlling. And Canelo Alvarez was getting marked up, he was breathing heavy, he was getting tired, he was reaching with shots, and it was getting torn apart. It was an absolute masterclass by Terence Crawford. Canelo tried, Canelo came and he had a go, but to be honest, and I don't want to rain on the parade of Crawford, but Canelo Alvarez, for me, is well past his best now. He's seen better days. He hasn't got the pace, he hasn't got the fitness to sustain the attack. Afterwards in the interview, he said, I felt great, it's great, I feel good. And don't forget, Crawford's a couple of years older. So I think it's the miles on the clock. Canelo Alvarez had like 67 fights. I know Crawford's had a fair few fights, but he's about 20 fights behind him. So the miles on the clock have caught up with Canelo Alvarez. He's feeling the pace, he's feeling the age.
Terence Crawford's triumph over Canelo Alvarez should be regarded as a masterpiece in ring intelligence, according to another boxing specialist. He called Crawford's performance nothing less than brilliant, highlighting the way he appeared to foresee each and every blow Canelo tried to deliver. Crawford had obviously researched Canelo's routines and had the appropriate counters ready before the shots even arrived, so he didn't react late. Crawford was able to stay ahead of the game from beginning to end because to this degree of forethought, which put Canelo in a position where his offensive appeared constrained and predictable. The analyst pointed out that Canelo's hard combinations tend to cause many fighters, even those with elite skill, to freeze. Crawford, on the other hand, dismantled them with cool accuracy without ever seeming alarmed or overwhelmed. His strategy focused on preparation, ring IQ, and strategic discipline rather than brute force. Canelo was kept off balance by the smooth transitions from each defensive move into incisive offensive plays. The analyst claims that this was not a random upset. It was a result of careful planning and years of expertise. Crawford's reputation as one of boxing's best strategists was cemented when he defeated one of the sport's most dangerous competitors.
Constantly throwing the lead left hook to try and cut this off. And when he did get his foot to the outside, that was an option. But over time, Crawford, as he always does, as the genius boxer that he is and is able to do, starts to find those counter punches. And there was two counters in particular that I noted during the fight that I felt were absolutely key for Crawford. The first was the counter off that left hook to the body. Now, Canelo did land these sometimes. That left hook he throws, the lead left hook, is quite unpredictable. But he started to land it quite effectively to the body from time to time. But what Crawford was doing was he was catching it with his elbow, and then he'd throw the straight left hand back at Canelo as a counter shot. He'd throw multiple shots. And what I really loved about his counter work was he'd never throw more than singles or twos or threes. He never got carried away. He never did too much with Canelo. Don't get me wrong though, Canelo was still defensively very astute in this fight, but he simply didn't have the foot speed to get to Crawford. He couldn't do it. And he didn't want to use his own jab because I believe Crawford's lead hand is so effective that southpaw stance really meant he could dominate the fight with his own lead hand. Canelo's not a massive jabber himself, but now that he was fighting someone closer to his size, I thought he might try and implement a jab, but he didn't because Crawford's counters were just too fast and too good. There was a couple of moments in this fight, and I said in my prediction I thought that you'd see Crawford in moments looking absolutely electric and just outclassing Canelo, looking too fast and lighting him up, and we saw that. I'll never forget the beginning of round 9 where he actually stood in the pocket with Canelo and he just rolled with the shots and he was throwing counters. It was absolutely brilliant. But the second counter that he used that was really effective was he'd allow Canelo to throw that single right hand, that straight right hand, that backhand for Canelo, make him miss and come back with his own straight left hand over the top. I also thought that Crawford stabbing to the body was very good. He'd throw straight shots to the body, and that was something I predicted from the Lara fight that he would be able to do. That was also where I got the idea with the exits that I felt would be useful. And the reason we knew they'd be useful and important was because of Saunders just not really dealing with them.
Dan Rafael offered an intriguing perspective on the pre-fight perception. He clarified that the notion of Crawford defeating Canelo was ridiculed by many fans and commentators. Crawford, however, never thought it was an insurmountable assignment. Rafael maintained that there was no discernible size difference between Canelo and himself in Crawford's view. Crawford viewed them as equals rather than as threats, and that self-assurance translated into the ring. Rafael's comments emphasized how self-belief is frequently the difference between success and failure. Crawford put himself in a position to shock the world and rewrite the assumptions of what was achievable by refusing to internalize other people's misgivings.
Rounds where he really started to back the supposed bigger guy up, although for me, they looked about the same size. But that was a brilliant performance, and what can you say? I mean, you got to give him his credit. He created a lot of history. He dreamt this fight. He willed it to happen. A lot of people, not me, but a lot of people laughed at him, said forget about it, no chance against a bigger guy like that. But he showed his greatness.
You spoke about looking to back up Canelo in the fight, as you mentioned there, before it took place. How much of a surprise was it, though, just to see how comfortable he felt doing so?
I think it took him a little while to figure out that, you know what, he doesn't hit as hard as some people were saying, and that I can get in and out, and I'm going to be able to stalk him and walk him down a little bit. And he had Canelo extremely frustrated. And so I guess I was a little surprised he was able to do it, especially in those last couple of rounds. But he definitely was the guy that was going forward and back in. I mean, I've been watching Canelo for his entire career as a known fighter. This is my 24th Canelo Alvarez fight in person. I can't say that against anybody, including big punchers like Triple G and Kovalev and people like that saw him get forced back. That's not normal for a fight with Canelo Alvarez.
And given your time covering Canelo Alvarez and those defeats that he's had in his career, but be involved tonight amongst the other kind of contentious decisions, how much is this one going to hurt? Because there's always been those question marks for the last few years. Is he on the decline? Now there's going to be more question marks. Is this the end of the road for Canelo, certainly at the elite level?
I mean, listen, and this is not a disrespect to Canelo, because everybody who has ever read me, followed me, listened to me knows I love Canelo. I think he's one of the greats of all time. I think you can make a really good argument.
Brian Bo McIntyre, Crawford's longtime trainer, ended the conversation with a heartfelt comment regarding the legacy of his fighter. He said that this triumph simply served to reinforce to the rest of the world his belief that Terence Crawford is the best of all time. Bullmack underlined that although Crawford merits a vacation following such a demanding voyage, retiring is not yet an option. Crawford will instead take some time to relax and recuperate before making a decision. The fact that the world now acknowledges the excellence he has seen for years in the gym is what matters most to Bomac. In addition to pride, his remarks conveyed a sense of validation for the years of toil and sacrifice they had both undergone.